The number one rule of Tai Chi practice is to be rooted in our feet. It is how we ground ourselves into the earth and connect ourselves to the environments we wander into, walk into, and live among. With a greater sense of where we are in space, we may coordinate and balance and move and flow through those spaces more easily. So, number one rule is rooted in the feet. Make sure you feel the front, back, sides, and sides of both feet. Parallel, they will run. Second checkpoint is to be soft in the knees. The knees are broken, not locked out, just gently broken. The third checkpoint is the tailbone. The tailbone is dropped. Instead of being here and extended through the knees, those knees are dropped and the tailbone is lengthened. The fourth checkpoint is for the midriff, the space between the top of the hips and the bottom of the ribs. It is gently lifted. Next is the shoulders. The shoulders are slumped. Instead of a Western militarized posture where we're drawing the shoulder blades back, we release the shoulder blades forward and let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Finally, the head is to the heavens. There's a gentle draw up of the head. Those are your 6 checkpoints, and we will constantly move through those checkpoints as we continue the practice. Again, we will go over them in a little bit more detail. Number one rule, one checkpoint is to be rooted in the feet. The feet are soft and light on the ground, and we allow the energy to drop into the foot. So as you set up your practice, you may start to grip the ground. You may sway from side to side. You may lean forward and back just to put all of your attention into the bottom of the foot, and then you find stillness. Rooted in the feet. The knees are bent. So from a locked position, we softly allow them to bend, and we pay attention to how that feels along the foot, noticing if we shift our weight a little bit too much. Be balanced in the feet, rooted, and let the knees drop. Our energy going down towards the earth. The third checkpoint in the tailbone is to be dropped. So we feel the lengthening of the tailbone down towards the earth. We can imagine from the tip of the tailbone about 1,000 pounds pulling it down, furthering the anchoring process of our lower body to the earth. Fourth checkpoint in the midriff, the space between the top of the hips and the bottom of the ribs, is gently lifted. From the anchoring in the tailbone and that weight pulling us down, we can begin to imagine a balloon string rising up the midline of the body, where the spine begins to create a lot of verticality, a lot of upward rising. And the rest of the body, the shoulders, our fifth checkpoint, drops and hangs around it. The string is attached to a balloon, which is the head, which is floating above the rest of the body. Another visual or image you can use is your body as a coat rack. The coat rack is long and vertical and stands nice and tall, and the coat itself drapes around the rack. So the spine and the collarbones are the coat rack, and the rest of the body is the coat. And even a third visualization is ourselves as a tuning fork. The legs are the forks of the tuning fork, entering into the earth, and our spine and torso reaching up to the heavens is the connection and the handle of that fork. We are attuning ourselves to the environment that we root ourselves into. So we are rooted in the feet. We are soft in the knees, energy going down. Tailbone is dropped. Midriff is lifted. Shoulders are slumped. And the head is to the heavens. From this posture, we begin to feel a gentle pull in every direction. That pull is known to be sung, to be gently pulled in every direction. And that means out and also in. So I'm pushing and pulling myself upward, side to side, all degrees of the body, and also inward. From here, in this posture, we can begin to cultivate the same chi perception that we had from the seated position, or even the same orbiting breath that we practiced. We can imagine this ball of chi in front of us, growing in size, compressing with breath, finding the edges of it, and allowing it to move. In a way, allowing the perception of what is between our hands in the chi to move us and us to move with it. When beginning to practice these foundational principles of the breath, chi cultivation, and the posture itself, we can do so together in a simple framework. One is to always assume the posture. In any seated position or any standing position, we find ourselves moving through the checkpoints, rooted in the feet, soft in the knees, tailbone dropped, midriff lifted, shoulders heavy or slumped, and head to the heavens. We can then bring the breath into the practice by just simply being aware of it, in and out through the nose, breathing deep into the lower dantian. A simple breath awareness allows us to provide a checkpoint to self of where we are here and now. And that may change throughout the duration of the practice. At least we hope it does. And we want to make sure that if there are any changes, that we notice them. That is how we build and develop a greater sense of self-awareness and chi cultivation. So a simple breath awareness is where we will begin. Next, you can begin to add in the circular motion of the breath, the inhalation down to the lower dantian and up the spine, exhaling through the body and back down. Inhaling up through the spine, exhaling back down. Even further, adding in the coherency practice of counting the inhalations and the exhalations of each breath. Each phase prescribed a number, counting in succession with the single goal of staying with each phase of the breath to develop coherency of the mind, the lungs, and the heart. The 70% rule is one rule to follow when we feel that we are more attuned to this internal space and truly embodying the posture and the beginnings of the practice. We can then begin to sense into the chi that we are in relation to around us, both being expressed but also filling the space. We can do so by massaging Lao Gong, PC8, in both hands, or rubbing the hands together to begin to build greater sense of perception between the hands. And then we can begin to play with the chi. When entering into any practice, it is important to follow what's known as the 70% rule. This rule states that we will do only 70% of what we know we can handle, which seems sort of arbitrary in the world of so many data points and figures and prescriptions. But the practice is about knowing what is within ourselves, what we are capable of, and understanding with the checkpoints and the self-awareness, with the embodiment, how much energy and space we have for exertion. This is a practice that can be as simple as seated in the chair, focusing on the breath, or standing in the posture cultivating our chi, or moving through an entire sequence of movements. It is for you to decide what is within 70% of what you know you can handle for this moment in time, knowing that that 70% may increase as we begin to cultivate the breath, the perception, and the movements within the practice. So when you question how long, how much, I want you to ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? And simply bring yourself into the beginning of the practice, which is with breath awareness. From this point, we will begin to add movement into the practice. We will be learning an 18 movement series known as Taiji Qigong Shibashi. We will spend time learning the fundamentals of each movement, practicing them in isolation, and then adding into a series of movements. The first movement we will perform by standing in our posture, finding a nice vertical spine and having that soft bend in the knees. The arms are lifted with the fingertips dragging down until we get and rise to the mouth or chin level, and then we lower the hands back down, fingertips pointing up. We are watching for the shoulder blade in the back of the body being pulled down the body to reach the arm up. Not trying to shrug the shoulder or reach the shoulder really far forward, just beginning to pull the shoulder blade down the body and lift the arm up. We notice the fingertips are dragging like a paintbrush up, focusing on the outer part of the knuckle of the last finger to lead you up, and the inside of the wrist leading you down. We focus on the breathing before anything else because we want to make sure that we are only moving as far as the breath promotes. We don't want to strain and overdo some of the lifting. We want to use and cultivate the chi within ourselves to improve the movement that we are prescribing. So we follow that same orbiting breath, and on the rise up through the spine, we notice the arms start to lift. Wherever that breath gets to, we allow ourselves to exhale and change the movement. Now, this movement may have the arms lift all the way to be even with the mouth. But if the breath in our bodies only allow us to get to a certain place, we let those arms come down with the breath. And we just work within this space that feels comfortable for us, that feels just challenging enough to stay in. Remember, 70%. We may also notice that at times the body is a little asymmetrical, and I have difficulty lifting my left arm. My right arm comes all the way up to the mouth and back down. My left arm only wants to come up to the ribs and back down. So we focus on the use of the left arm, and we time everything based off of that arm, and it's okay to be uneven here. They start at the same time, but we know the right's going to go higher, and so we allow it to happen, and then let them drop together. While I perform the move, I'm not allowing myself to reach the arms in. The arms will stay broad across the chest. I will inhale on the way up. I will exhale on the way down. You may start the movement with your legs staying still, or you may begin to add an extending motion, stretching up, and a gentle sitting motion on the way down. You bend your knees as far as you feel you can. The goal here is to not allow yourself to fall forward, keeping the head over your base of support, which is your feet. So trying to stay nice and tall and long as the body drops and descends. Reaching up, sitting down.